obviously the offensive line numbers in terms of run game haven't been good. Do you see anything there that
in the run game?
Some optimism, or just the offensive line overall?
Yeah, we're getting better. I mean, our pass protection's better. You know what I mean? I think that we actually fit up some runs the other day pretty good. We had some pass concepts off of it and some screen concepts also off of it. So it looks on paper, I think we threw the ball 61 times maybe, but all those weren't necessarily pass protection plays. So I thought we fit up things better in the run game. Obviously didn't create enough room. I thought our running backs played better, and they showed up a little bit in the stat sheet in the run game, more so in some of the pass receptions. But I thought they played much better. They made some plays. They created some holes that weren't there. And I thought they did a nice job outside of 2 plays in the protection game.
Your special teams that you mentioned, do you have goals for your coverage in terms of yards allowed, not allowed returns? What are some of those?
Yeah, so we want to lead the country in fair catches. That's what we talk about on our punt team. And so obviously they had 2 punts returned against us the other day. One of them may have been for 3 and 6 or something like that. I'm going off the top of my head, but I think they were close to that. And then our kickoff coverage unit, we want to keep them inside the 22, 23, depending on where that kick's located. And we've been really good on both those teams. And our kickoff coverage outside the first one was really good. We missed a kick. Casey didn't kick one very well later in the game, but we just didn't set the tone. We talk about our kickoff cover team being a mentality team. You're always going to start a half with that unit, and we had a couple missed assignments on that team, and the guy fumbled it, and really we should have started that drive inside the 10. They should have been backed up, and he got it out to almost the 30 there. So I didn't think we set a very good tone with our kickoff unit there.
Neal, I know January seems like forever ago, but can you mention how you ID'd Blake? Obviously, with him going back to K-State this week, was it networking? Was it Vic's recommendation? What sort of?
Yeah, so we got mutual friends, and a guy that he's good friends with a guy that's on our staff at Troy, who's now the defense coordinator there. And then Vic, he GA'd for Vic. And so as we were making this transition and we were looking, I wanted to make sure we added some people with some Big 12 experience. I knew a couple guys in our background offensively had connections in this league, but I wanted to hire somebody that had recent defensive history in this league. And then Blake, part of that culture there, which is really important. You've heard me say that. I think they've, over the last however long Coach Snyder was there, that's been one of the better cultures in all of college football. And year in and year out, they played competitive, discipline, don't beat yourself type of football. So I've always respected that. And then Blake had done a really good job recruiting in the Southeast. So they were getting some quality players, and you see that on their roster here as some of those guys from the Southeast and into Texas that he recruited. So he had a good reputation as a recruiter. So those are some of the things that led to him. And he's done a great job for us. He's led our special teams. I think that's been the bright spot of our entire football team. He's been in on a lot of our higher ranked recruits. So I'm pleased with him. He's extremely attention to detail. Does a good job with mixing with the kids as far as holding them accountable, but also cares about them. He and his wife Inga and their two daughters, and they've done a great job.
How confident were you that you'd get him to come here?
I don't. When we met, and he has ties there. I mean, obviously went to school there. I don't think it was anything negative. I think he wanted the opportunity to coach. I'll tell you what, I don't even answer for you, answer him. It was a guy that I was interested in. Thought it was a good fit, and we were glad to get him. As far as you can ask him, kind of the whys or whatever.
Talking about a guy like Sam James, do you take the glass as half full with him because
I coach him harder than anybody on our team, John.
What's that?
I coach him harder than anybody on our team because I think he has a huge ceiling, and so I've coached him that way really since I got here. And we went to winter workouts. I liked his high school film. I liked the film that our GAs made, and when they played scrimmage last year during his redshirt year, and I liked the talent I saw in the winter, and in the spring you can see glimpses. And so I probably coach him harder than anybody on our football team. And I think when you have to coach your best players the hardest. Obviously we've game planned to get him the ball a lot. I think he's at this point our top playmaker on offense. So I think when our players understand that we're trying to get him the ball schematically. So I think when you're trying to do those things, you gotta hold those guys to a higher standard, and I do. Do I think that he played well on Saturday? I think there's some things he did really well. The most proud that I am of him is he overcame negative plays for really the first time in his career. He was able to overcome a drop. Okay, he was able to overcome a bad run. Like the first play of the game, we're getting the ball, and that thing has a chance to get out. We got everybody blocked, and he gets 2 yards. And he knew as soon as he ran out of bounds, it was a bad play. In the past, or maybe early in the year, he might have been done for the day. But he came back. We gave him the ball the next 2 plays. He made a really nice play on the second play of the game. Made an average play on the third, and then he kind of got going. And then the other thing that was impressive to me, he had the 2 drops back to back, but then he made a huge play and a nice run after the catch. So I think I've got huge expectations for him. I think there's things he did really well, but I was in the receiver meeting yesterday, and I was harder on him than any of the rest of them. And because he had an opportunity, he could have had 18 catches for.
That could have been a historic game.
Yeah, he could have had 18 catches for 300 yards, and but I do think you got to be careful dwelling on the negative. Here's a kid that's a redshirt freshman. He had 14 catches. How many yards? 224. 223. Just won the Big 12 Newcomer of the Year for the second time, and that's a lot of burden to put on a redshirt freshman now. That I'm sitting here talking about him, and he's our best playmaker. He's our go-to guy, and so I know I rambled on, but I hold him accountable. I'm excited about his future. Y'all have heard me. I've defended him, okay? Just because of where we're at as a program, I think we're having to put a little more on him than maybe he was ready for early in the year. I think he's now starting to grow into that role.
As coach, how did you handle sort of looking at the film and the situation where everyone assumed it was an incompletion and there was a fumble there?
Which play?
The fumble they recovered.
Oh, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
On the you talking about the one they called it was an incomplete on the fourth down. They called a fumble. I didn't even talk about it. Yeah, I didn't understand that, to be honest with you. Really, I was sitting there arguing with Monty about it because he's like, you had 4 turnovers. I was like, no, we didn't. We had 3. You know what I mean? He's like, no, you had 4. And he's like, and as we're talking about stats, I think like this is just to have on record, okay? Not that anybody in here is going to change statistical history, but if a ball hits a receiver in the chest and it pops up, that should be a fumble. If it's a drop pass for an interception, that should be a fumble.
Neal, Jared Bartlett has played 2 games. You got 3 left. I assume you still want
He
to
will not play in one of them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say which one he's not going to play, but he will not play in one of them. Yeah, he will not. He will not play in one of them. And as we talk about our freshmen, they struggle in that game. The true freshmen. I don't know if we had a true freshman that played anywhere close to their capabilities in that game. Really, our worst game collectively for that group that we've had so far.
It's kind of an interesting comparison. You're taking over a young team. He's taking over a veteran team. Do you see remnants of Kansas State, or is his system already in place and he's using those guys the way he wants to play them?
I really, I didn't watch them necessarily on offense and defense. Does that make sense? So my memory of K-State is 10, 11, 12, what they were doing. I watched a little bit of them on defensively when I was going through the process of hiring Blake, okay, because he called the defense there a year ago. But I don't want to speak to it because it wasn't like I was in the same league and I was watching them year in, year out. What I will say, and I don't want to speak for Coach Kleiman at all, but I think he probably took over a group that, and sometimes veteran groups are hard to take over because they have a process for how they're doing things. They have expectations. So I'm not saying that's easy either. But I think they had a culture in there where discipline and accountability were really, and obviously that transition's gone smooth. They're playing at a high level. They have some really good players too. The defensive linemen are talented. Quarterback's talented. Obviously a lot of experience on the offensive line.
Hey, Neal, how do you treat Saturday and this week with regard to the quarterback situation?
Yeah. First of all, did you see the flea flicker? at Texas.
Right when I got home, actually.
I was sitting there. I'll be honest with you, Mike. That's the only time I got a laugh on a whole day Saturday. I was watching that Texas game. And I was sitting there, and we had a bunch of people in my house, and I started laughing because everybody, it's kind of like when you lose, everybody thinks you're going to a funeral, and you got to go, like, listen, we lost the game. It's not the end of the world. Like, you can't speak to me or whatever. And I had that game on, and I saw it, or maybe I saw a replay. I don't know because the timing, I don't know if the timing would, but I saw a replay, and I just kind of laughed. And I was like, they hit one. It was like on the 21-yard line. They hit it for a touchdown, and mine gets picked. But what was your question, Mike? What was the question?
That was it, actually. What do you think of the flea flicker? Was that?
No,
How do you handle
the quarterback deal. So we got a plan. I don't think it does me any good to share it with you all or share Kansas State, but I do have a plan, and we'll start it today, and go. But I do have a plan, and I said this after the game, and I wasn't really trying to be a smart aleck. Like, we've got issues on offense, but our quarterback play hasn't been tremendous, but it hadn't been the reason why we struggled either. And so, I don't think that's the areas we got to get fixed. That's not number one on the list, but we do have a plan, and you'll see on Saturday when we kick it off.
Josh Chandler coming back. How can that help you?
Well, it will definitely help. Yeah, we were. I think Tony gave me he was laughing because you have questionable, doubtful, and I used the word hopeful last week. But so we were hopeful that Chandler was going to play, and he just didn't get to a point by Wednesday where we thought it was the best thing for him. Okay, so he practiced yesterday. He is going to practice today full speed. So barring anything unforeseen, then he will play, and he'll be a tremendous help versus these guys. This is a box game. They're a power running team. They're one of the leading rushing teams in the country. They've done a good job. That's kind of carried over from who they were, their identity at North Dakota State. And so we're going to need him to play and play well. It's been a while since we just played a team that's going to line up and run gap schemes at you and do some of those things. But he'll be a help. I'm looking forward to getting. He's one of our better defensive players. He's maybe playing as good as anybody we had before his injury.
See a future, Mike? You think, or?
Well, he's working his way to that. Yeah, I think that's fair.
They're possessing the ball more than Army or Navy. What's the key against a team like this?
Well, so it works both ways. So they've done a really good job of, if you look at them statistically, all right, so as you go through, and that's one of the first things I do every Sunday when I kind of turn the page. You look at them statistically, and you kind of go through, and you go, okay. But then you get to third downs, and they're really good on third down offensively, converting. And a big reason for that is because they have so many 3rd and 4s or lefts, okay? And then they're really good on defense and third down stop rate. And a lot of that is because they have a lot of 3rd and 6 pluses. So they're able to keep the clock moving and the chains moving by converting those 3rd and shorts. And then they're able to get off the field defensively. So it works together.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you all.